welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Hannah Hillam.
And I'm Kaveh Taherian, and welcome back to the show. We're coming to you freshly showered and put together because it's hot, and now it's going to be the summertime, so we're going to have to start recording at like 4 a.m. to avoid sweating to death, although even then there's no guarantees.
I am so sweaty already. It's the morning.
I'm sweaty already. You're like a rapper. I love it.
Oh my gosh, look at me.
Same thing.
I'm a rapper. Yeah. I'm
dropping
known for my
T's
rap.
in your words.
Yeah. Mountain. All right. Look, I'm proud of my heritage. I'm just kidding. Mountain, Mel's.
Yes. I just learned from Hannah that people who live in mountainous areas in the United States apparently drop the T's from their words when they speak, like Colorado and Utah.
Colorado and Utah, yeah.
Those are the most mountainous areas in the United States I can think of as far as states.
What about the Appalachians?
I guess I don't remember anything past those mountains on the west side.
But I find myself slipping into the Utah thing where I say, yeah, I live by the mountains. And it's like, oh,
mountains. Wait, what did you say your dad says? Ayers? Because he doesn't say the T?
No. People in Utah will sometimes, instead of wheel, it's will. Like mills on wheels.
I willed it into existent.
Or like
Milldell.
Milldell. It depends on what word you're saying. You can't just drop every T. Ayers. Let's go fill the Ayers on my car.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, thank you guys for coming back.
Episode 23.
Episode 23. Shall we just get right into it? Is there anything you wanted to talk about before we started, or should we just
I just wanted
rock and roll?
to mention up top the Discord again and the Patreon.
Yes.
We have posted some extra content on the Patreon, so you should go check that out. And
an extra video, a whole one video that's like 1 minute. By the time
this is out, I'm putting more stuff on there. All right.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't even know about this. I'm waiting with bated breath to see what it is that you're going to contribite.
No, you're not. But yeah,
that's news to me. That's news to me.
That's news to me. Stop.
That's news me. Anyway, here is my ab. Because I'm from a mountain. I'm from the mountain.
I'm from the mountains, and I have not had a meal today. I have not had a meal. I need to eat. I have not eaten. But look,
that makes
my brain
two of us.
Works best when it's stretched to its limit, meaning like...
I don't know if my brain ever works best,
but
I'm going to try it anyway.
Okay, so we'll switch it up, and you go first this week.
Right, because for reasons that you have not yet explained to me.
I haven't done my tab yet. I'm just
She's going to be doing it while I tell you my tab.
Completely zoned out.
Hannah, are you listening? Are you watching?
And I just go, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm definitely paying attention.
Too.
Okay. So my tab this week. So I found this. I shouldn't say I found. So my friend, Sarah's friend, Michelle. Thank you. Shout out to Michelle. She sent Sarah this article. Sarah sent it to me. I read it. I was enamored. I thought it would be a perfect opportunity for us to do this for the show. I knew you would enjoy it. I knew the listeners would enjoy it. But
okay,
I'll say this up front. The title is very clickbaity, and I was very disappointed with the title of the clickbait article. Oh. However, it did still have elements that I thought were worth exploring and interesting. So I'm going to skip over the title for now because it will lead to unrealistic expectations that will not be met. And so I'm just going to...
I never have that happen.
That's true. That seems like most of living is having expectations that are not met. Expectations.
If you drop every T, I'm going to kill you. Also, I need to stop saying I'm going to kill you to people. So
why? That's
because
how
TikTok.
We talk.
No.
Because ik-ok.
So
this is...
I love ik-ok.
So this is a story about living life to the most, and it's about a guy. Oh, funny enough, his name is Mark T. Smith, or as they say in the mountains, Mark Smith. Get it?
I get it. Yeah. And another
I just don't like it.
My dad's name is Mark, so maybe it's him. I don't know.
This is your Mills father, Mark Mills
Sorry,
on
Dad. Sorry, Dad.
Sorry, Dad.
Doink. DJ Tanner. Okay.
DJ Tanner. Okay. I'm sorry, everybody, if you haven't checked out of the podcast yet.
Why would they?
So this story begins with a guy named Mark T. Smith. And Mark is an artist. Specifically, he's a painter. And he's a talented guy. He was born in 1969 and he grew up in Delaware.
Nice.
And in 1984, he moved to Brooklyn to attend Pratt Institute, which, as you know, is a very good, fancy, famous school. And if you were a painter in 1980s New York, arguably the most important person that was working at that time was probably Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Woo!
Who
Love him.
heavily influenced Mark's work.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes. It's very, very prominent in his style. And he doesn't say this anywhere in any of the... go ahead.
If you guys don't know who Basquiat, Jean-Michel Basquiat is, go look at amazing artist. Rest in peace.
And he will actually come to play back in this as well. So
okay.
Yes, so Jean-Michel Basquiat was famously, he's the guy that was like the grandfather of the graffiti art movement. He was he was homies with Andy Warhol.
Warhol, yeah.
There's a movie that Julian Schnabel directed about him, starring Jeffrey Wright as Basquiat, and then David Bowie as Warhol, which is cool. Yeah, it came out in the 90s.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright, love that guy. I'll watch him in anything. Anyway, if it's easier for you to watch a movie, that's a good place to start. But amazing work. It's very bold, and also, so Mark Smith's work is within that camp. So it's very vibrant colors, very super graphic and layered, like a very bold use of line. And he actually learns it in New York in that time where that style was really becoming popular. So he's sort of at the forefront of it.
Cool. Okay.
Another person that's working around that time, of course, is Keith Haring, who I'm sure everyone has seen with, I don't know, they don't call them the stick figures, but like the 3D figures.
They're like the
Exactly. The
dancing, the dancing colorful people.
The dancing colorful people. There was all kinds of campaigns in like the New York subways and everywhere. It was a very iconic style. Let me show you like one or two of Mark's pieces so you can sort of see. And I want you to, so this is like a little triptych of stuff. I think this is maybe a little bit later, but you can tell the influence here for sure.
All right.
So why don't you describe to the listeners what you see?
Oh, cool. Okay. So, okay.
It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like Technicolor, these triptych of three dudes that like you can see all their insides, like, but it's all like graffiti-esque.
Yeah, it's like you can see their organs, you can see like their lungs and the esophagus, and coming out of the esophagus is like rays of I don't know, explosions
like
or something.
Like yelling. They're cool.
Yeah.
It looks like how a panic attack would feel.
That's actually a pretty interesting way of describing it.
I wouldn't say panic attack. I would say more like after you've had many panic attacks and you're used to them.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
like it's
what
just par for the course. This is just how I wake up every day.
My body's insane. I don't know what to do. I'll just scream. But it feels peaceful. I don't know how to describe.
Yeah, it's weirdly harmonious because like, and that's the thing is like there's a lot of it's bold, but it's not overly complicated, even though it's super complicated, that you can sort of let it wash over you in a really interesting way.
It's harmonious chaos, which I'm all about.
Harmonious chaos. Beautiful. I love it. That's one of his pieces. Here's this other crazy big one. I want you to describe this.
All right.
We decided to start an audio podcast so we can talk about paintings.
Yep. Oh, cool. This one looks like, oh, wow. It kind of has vibes of that. Oh, the guy that does the portraits with all the colors.
Totally. The guy that does the portraits with the colors.
He had no hand, or his hand stopped working. And so he, Chuck something.
Chuck Jones?
Just put me in the bog. No,
Chuck
not
Close?
Chuck Jones. No, yes.
Chuck Close? Okay, yeah.
Is that the guy? Anyway, that's the color. Oh, these look like jackals. Like jackals in the desert with the sun. And it looks like, again, sound is exploding out of everything. But the sound is color.
And these are not figurative in any way. Like, this is not, in terms of what you're describing, like, this is not like a regular painting of what you would think in terms of like a landscape.
It's like, it's insane. It's insane. I don't know how to describe
it. It's beautiful. I really like it. It's totally out there. It's super colorful.
Yeah.
So
90s-esque though.
Yeah. So, okay. So to that point, so Mark gets out of art school and now he's got to find work, and he's painting and he's trying to make a name for himself in the art scene, and he's trying to get gallery shows. And in 1990, at the age of just 22, he gets his first big break.
Wow.
And his work, I know, right? Can you believe it? His work caught the eye of someone at the Walt Disney Company, who went on to commission him to create a poster for the nationwide announcement of Disney World's 19th birthday, which I did not realize that it had only opened in 1971. And for whatever reason, I thought it was open like when the Pilgrims came to America, or like at least within 10 years of it.
The Pilgrims opened Disneyland, but Walt Disney opened Disney World. Well, I don't know.
He came over on the Mayflower very famously.
He did. He was there, and he was ancient then. It was crazy that he lived to be 700. Anyway.
So I'm going to send you that poster too. So it's basically just like a, hey, happy 19th birthday. Come to Disney World and celebrate with us. And again, it's
cool.
Why don't you describe it?
It's like almost like a paper cutout, funky version of Mickey Mouse with a bunch of candles, birthday candles, and it kind of has like a vibe of like 90s theme park a little bit, or like Nickelodeon.
That's exactly right. I mean, yeah, it's literally an announcement for the theme park in the 90s. So spot on.
It reminds me of some of the advertising that Great America used to do. It's like that. It's got that like futuristic, look at us, we're modern. But here's some wonky art.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. That's as close as I can get. But yeah, Mickey looks dope in this, and I hate Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it forms a lot of his hallmarks of his style, which, I said, sort of like graphic and bold and
bright.
It's bright. It's a very simple palette. It lends itself very well to advertising, and it's a little bit. So in this piece, he goes a little bit more, figurative and sort of real. I don't want to say realistic, but it's a little bit more form based and not so abstract. Although he does abstract the forms a little bit. And kind of to your point, like it's very 90s, right? It becomes very iconic. So real quick, just something about this poster that's really interesting. If you look on the bottom right side of the painting, you can actually see his signature on there.
Hey, yeah.
Which, if you know anything about how insane everything at Disney is and how insane like the Walt Disney Corporation is, the idea that this man got to paint a poster and then they let him put his giant signature on that painting that was a promotional poster for Disney World is like, I don't know what deal with the devil he made. That's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's really crazy.
Didn't notice.
That seems very Disney. The Disney executives were like, sorry, Michael Eisner was screaming at the top of his lungs and I didn't get to notice that there was a giant signature in the corner. We were too busy trying to get The Lion King ready.
Oh, that's right. That's about this time, huh?
Actually, no, 1990 would have been Little Mermaid, I think, right?
Oh, no, Mermaid came out in 89, right?
Maybe it was 89. It was like Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King. Lion King was 93, 94 or something.
I remember I went to Lion King around my 5th or 6th birthday, and that would have been 93, but... Okay,
so this was before that, yeah. Or no, you're right, though, because that would have been in development for a few years, so that was probably...
Oh, yeah, you're right. We're both right.
This is a very important topic that has everything to do with what we're talking about. Anyway...
Look, dude, nothing matters. Just go with it.
So... This piece ends up becoming, it gets like nationally distributed. They're sent it to everybody, letting it, because again, it's an announcement for Walt Disney World. It's a big deal. It's a big place. I'm trying to get everybody to come. And it seems to usher in kind of a new era of corporate art.
That's what this is. It feels very corporate. It feels like proto-corporate.
It's exactly right. And like this is sort of the way that corporate art works. And just sort of most corporate things anyway. It's like, you'll have something that's kind of interesting and underground and new and hip. And then you'll have an executive who's maybe a little bit younger, who's tapped into it a little bit, like maybe there's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And they want to be cool and like sort of remind themselves that they still have a soul of some sort. And they'll be like, we should bring this cool artist into this. And then they apply it to their brand. And then it becomes, and then it goes everywhere. And suddenly it becomes omnipresent, just everywhere, everywhere. And it blows up. And at this point, so does Mark's career.
Oh.
And he suddenly launched at 22 years old. He's literally 1990. He's riding the wave. This guy's life. Great.
At 22, I think I had failed my physical science class in college for the 3rd time.
Frankly, why did you need to take a physical science class to be an artist?
Because I didn't go to just art school. I went to like a school that had a good art program.
Look at me. I have a subscription to Wired. I didn't go to just art school. I learned
Bringing
things.
Up the Wired things? No. Here's the thing. I failed all the generals. I should have gone to art school. I would have graduated. But I was like, science? I've never needed it. Science? I've
Certainly
never
not
needed
in this podcast.
No, except for that one time I had to talk about like the Fata Morgana, and that had some science.
The Leia Organa. I remember that. Yeah. That's the one that we just released.
Yeah, it's fresh in the mind.
Fresh in the memory. That's why I remember the Wired subscription. Otherwise, I would have completely forgotten about everything.
I was like, wow, dude, you never remember anything except for things to shame me about. Okay,
that's
Mom.
our dynamic. Mom.
Just kidding, Mom.
Sorry, Ma. So he suddenly launched, Mark T. Smith has launched into a great space of having corporate clients who are paying him for his take on the material, which in effect, his style is the thing that they're commissioning, which we can tell you both, Hannah and I, as a working artist, that is the dream.
Nuts. That's crazy.
That never happens, or I should say it rarely happens, because it's usually like, can you draw this thing and this stuff? Because they're just trying to use you as an extension of their own hand to deliver a product. It's very rare that they say, do whatever you want, or like, do the thing that you would think would be good for this.
Because when you do that, they're like, maybe don't include missing, or what was it that I did? Oh, missing children as part of the joke. I had to change a whole comic around because...
Please tell us more. I want to know.
I made a joke about missing kids. It was rejected parade floats, and one of them was just an empty platform that said missing children. And they were like, no. Like, oh, so I changed it to Nickelback. And then I got like death threats from Nickelback fans, and I was like, missing children would have been better because they can't threaten me. They're gone. Anyway.
Little did you know that Nickelback is a band made up of missing children. They all found each other and found the band. That's terrible. I don't also know why somebody would hire you to be like, oh, we're going to hire this woman who's got a great sense of humor, and then scale back the humor. We're not really into that whole thing.
Well, they were like, it's funny, but... And I'm like,
but this guy, he gets to do it. And it becomes, as you said earlier, it becomes really sort of the style of the 90s. So there's not a whole lot written about him. There is some stuff from his website. There's some interviews, and there's like again, he's not somebody who's like super in the press necessarily. Right. So some of this ends up just being my own extrapolation of it. But it seems like he's somebody that's somewhat on the forefront of this style of the 90s, essentially.
Okay.
And like I said, he's living the dream because of, like I said, deep corporate pockets plus complete artistic freedom. That's a winning combination. Much like a combination Taco Bell and KFC.
Yes. Except I think it's blasphemous to put KFC in there.
Why? You're a KFC hater?
I don't hate KFC. I just
you just want Taco Bell
so much
pure.
that I need it to be pure. Yeah. I need my Taco Bell to be pure.
Wow. Okay.
I don't want to smell chicken while I'm eating. Oh, like fried
chicken specifically, yeah.
Anyway,
I understand.
dragging them through the mud, but yeah. Okay, so okay.
So anyway, throughout his 20s, Mark thrives. He gets more notable patrons, including MTV, Pepsi, HarperCollins, Budweiser, VH1, the New York Knicks, and numerous other Fortune 500 companies.
Oh, that's like 90s royalty right there.
Exactly, yeah. This he's at the pinnacle of it. And in 1996, he even got his own Absolute Vodka advertising campaign titled Absolute Smith. Whoa. Do you remember the Absolute Vodka campaigns?
Oh yeah, they used to be in Did you forget Utney Reader?
Utney Reader?
Yeah, it's like some...
No, I don't know what that is.
My parents used to... I don't either. But I remember there was always like Absolute Vodka in there, and I was like, loved those ones. They were always cool looking. They
were cool looking. They were kind of like the Got Milk advertising campaign, but for alcoholics.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
And they even named it Absolute Smith after him. Like it's iconic that if you're in an Absolute Vodka ad and then they use your name as part of it.
That's incredible. Yeah. That is awesome. That's like it's like a vodka bottle and it looks all crazy. Insane and abstract and kind of cute, actually.
Yeah, it's really cool. And by the way, for people listening who are like under, I don't know, 30, there used to be these things called magazines that existed that Hannah subscribes to.
I don't want journalism to die. I mean, it's dead. But
fair enough. But yeah, these ads were. I don't even know what happened anymore. I'm like, is Absolute even around anymore? I'm sure it's still a company. I just mean that I don't see ads anymore. Like print ads used to be such a huge part of like how you would see crazy cool design and art and stuff. And I just don't see it anymore.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's basically just gone. It's all dead. But it was cool. It was a big deal. So this is like celebrity status almost.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, his ad campaigns are great. He's loving it. And he exhibited his work globally with multiple solo exhibitions in New York City, the Emirates, and Los Angeles. And, he's lived this charmed life being the corporate king of the 90s. And in the early aughts, a new chapter beckoned as Mark relocated to Miami, pivoting his focus to explore the realm of personal expression and fine art. And he became a staple in Miami's esteemed art fair week with a successful solo and group exhibition. And he even started doing sculpture, incorporating that into his work.
Whoa,
and he probably thought, Man, my life couldn't possibly even get more awesome, could it? But believe it or not, it could, and it did.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And we come to the point of this tab, which is in 2003. He got the most important phone call of his life from the perspective of this podcast and its listeners.
Okay.
So on the line was Yum Brands, who is the parent company of our beloved purveyors of living moss. And after more than a decade of hard work,
whoa,
the big boys of Taco Bell came calling.
That's where I've seen his stuff.
Yep.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah,
wait,
yep.
It was only 2003 that they started doing that look? Like the...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is so cool.
Taco Bell, right. So Taco Bell calls them up, and they want to commission Mark for a series of 3 paintings to be displayed as in-store decor for the new multi-brand stores in the Yum brand portfolio. It was a dream come true for this podcast and its listeners.
Absolutely. If Taco Bell called me, I'd probably die. I would.
It's like the Ring. It's like 7 days, and then
like, oh,
Taco Bell's going to call you.
I just died on my own. They don't have to come back in 7 days.
I couldn't find like the proper Taco Bell corporate version of it, but here's the 3 paintings that he was commissioned to do, and I'm sending them to you.
Okay.
And then we'll unpack them. But why don't you just tell us what you're?
Yes. Yes. Oh, these are the ones. Yeah, one
Do you
of them
remember these?
Oh yeah, of course. Do you?
Okay, great. I don't remember anything, like you said, like even from last week, what we talked about.
Oh yeah, I remember these really well because I remember it being this strange like switch over. So from kind of that old like teal and pink look, into that suddenly these started showing up, which was way better than like whatever they had before. I don't even remember. I remember thinking, oh, that's interesting combination of the teal and pink and then these, because my local Taco Bell just changed the teal and pink 2 years ago.
Oh, no way. Seriously?
Yeah, it became like a tourist attraction. Yeah. So the one I grew up next to had the whole teal and pink thing and some of this. They had it up until like a few years ago. So
that's awesome.
Oh, wow. So one of them, the one I remember the most, is this one with like, it looks like Shrek, naked Shrek, with like a with like a bell for a head. Yeah.
Naked Shrek who had a bell dropped on his head going into Taco Bell to be like,
I'm
hungry. I'm hungry. For a cheesy gordita crunch. I can't do
eat
Shrek
it because
sorry.
he has a bell,
on his head. It's very it's like a Sisyphusian.
Oh, why do we have the same ideas? Okay,
brainworms. Anyway,
so it looks like naked Shrek with a bell, and looks like he's like, give me tacos, and it says Taco Bell. And then there's a little guy who looks like a coked out wolf with a clock on him. Oh no, a speedometer.
No. I think it's a gas level. It's like an
gas
empty
gauge. Yeah, he's
gas
on empty.
Gauge, yeah.
So he's got to go get some Taco Bell, and then there's a butterfly Mothman with a moon for a head, and that just says open late.
Unhinged. These are incredible pieces. These are
amazing. Truly insane. Like, wow. So, okay.
Originally made with layered paper, crayon, and acrylic paint, the paintings possess the playfulness of his 80s New York City roots, but they also pay homage to American painter Maxfield Parrish, which I thought was insane. Yeah.
The guy who does big, beautiful clouds?
Yeah, it's so I'm like, I don't see the Maxfield Parrish influence necessarily, but I think that's really interesting that's from him, by the way. That's from Mark C. Smith, where he was like, yeah, I wanted to pay homage to Maxfield Parrish.
Oh, wow.
Maxfield Parrish, for those of you guys who don't know, is like extremely traditional. Yeah, he's this turn of the century illustrator who was very, very traditional illustrator, meaning traditional painting, not like this. It's not insane and abstract like this in any way.
No, I can kind of see it because Maxfield Parrish.
Yeah.
He has a very layered kind of Technicolor look to his things. So like there's these ones of like, it looks like the Arizona, and you can see how they look like they're layered on top of each other.
Can you send me the one you're looking
levels. Okay. No, I can totally actually kind of see how I'm immediately viciously angry for no reason.
That's how we go.
I'm so mad right now. Nothing works perfectly.
Keep the anger going, Anna. Do not let it go.
I don't have a choice.
Oh, yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying. Yeah,
so
kind of the palette.
Like, he has these kind of neon, almost neon colors when he uses with light. So I can see that easily being like a...
Yeah, okay, I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? You're right. Yeah, no, I do. That's a good point. I have not seen that piece that you just sent, but the Arizona one makes sense. Yeah, that definitely ties into it. Taco Bell gave him plenty of artistic freedom, but there was still a few basic rules that he had to follow. No subliminal images.
No.
This next one, no devil worship, unfortunately.
Sorry, what? That's in there?
Apparently. And no displays of carnality.
Carne.
Carne asada. Right. He was like, carne asada is allowed, but not carnality.
Look, we are going to worship at the feet of the idol of carne asada. All right?
Carne asada, worshiping the devil subliminally.
Yeah. Devil. If the devil made Taco Bell, then I'm a Satanist.
Ooh, that's a good slogan for their next ad campaign. If the devil made Taco Bell, then I'm a Satanist. Eat at Taco Bell and worship the devil.
And just absolutely be run through with the fires of hell.
Again, another great campaign slogan for Taco Bell.
Yeah. Run through with the... Go on. Hire me.
Hire us. We can paint the new paintings. He also had to make the work align with what he calls their processed plastic color scheme, which he said was a challenging palette to work with.
Yeah.
So the three pieces are called Drive-Thru Man, Mothman, and Empty.
I was right about the Mothman?
Yep.
Hold on. Drive-Thru Man, Mothman, and just Empty?
Empty.
How did they know what I was going to call my autobiography? Empty. I don't know. That was a stretch.
Also, I'm going to send you, this is just a little fun little extra thing that they had, which is you can see his sketch that he did. So you can see like he works it out in black and white, like just ink, just to sort of see the placement of everything. Although it's changed a little bit from the final.
Yeah, as it usually does.
Yeah. So originally he had a bunch of, it looks like bushes in the background, but then he changes it to stars.
Yeah. Better that way. Those aren't bushes. Those are clouds.
Oh, I guess they're clouds. Yeah. There's no color, so I couldn't tell. But yes, you're right. Oh, I guess they're still there. The clouds are there. I lied.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of flying bushes.
Speaking of satanic.
Yeah.
And then there's this other one. This is the Shrek one. Which again, if you guys are listening to this, we recommend you watch this on YouTube because you can actually see all these images. But you can see him again working out all the graphic shapes and placement and composition before he goes into the painting, and it's
I love his
really
line
cool.
Work before he
it's really
adds
interesting.
Color. He's like classic cartoonist. Kind of reminds me of SpongeBob-esque.
It's fully insane.
Oh,
He's even got it looks like there's like a tic-tac-toe happening in the middle of this Shrek creature's chest.
Shrek's heart is a tic-tac-toe board.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
cool.
From the article, I'm gonna quote this one part. It says, "Drive-Thru Man is dotted with gray cars that pass through a bell-shaped icon and emerge as vibrant hot rods. Mothman quite literally represents what it feels like to be a drunk moth aimlessly floating towards Taco Bell's much too accessible flame. And lastly,
love that.
Empty, the one with the distressed-looking yellow figure, was designed to evoke what it feels like to be struck by hunger pangs and low blood sugar, which is represented by the fuel gauge above his head. The bell floating above him is also a light bulb, a solution to his problem."
You know what? I would. This is my new religion.
Yeah. So I like this quote that he says. So this is his quote from Mark T. Smith. And he says, "I believe that this project was an opportunity to create artwork for an audience as a gateway to other artistic experiences. Every artist has a point of departure, a comic book, movie lyric, riff, novel, but something often contributes to the start of the artistic journey." So basically, man of the people. He's like, you 100%. Never know. You could be just eating at Taco Bell and then you're like, holy shit, that painting's awesome. I want to be a painter. And then you go from there.
Oh, I love him. I love that.
And the final three pieces of artwork were reproduced on stretched canvas for the application to the decor in store. So it makes it feel like a more proper art piece rather than branded messaging. So it's not just like taped to the wall. It looks like an actual painting, which again, you said you remember these.
Oh, yeah.
You remember seeing the actual style of it.
I remember,
that's really funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'll like I said, my hometown Taco Bell was wild. They didn't update; they just added. So there was just like a big mishmash of like different Taco Bell eras.
So based on the success of this program, Mark was asked to continue with the Yum marketing team as an art director / curator, where he selected additional artists to participate across the entire Yum brand portfolio, including A&W, KFC, and Long John Silver's. I could not find specifics about this, unfortunately, but I'm sure people listening to this show might be able to help us fill in the gaps.
Probably.
So this takes us to the final part, which is that the title of the article is "One of the most unusual heists in America seems to be unfolding at Taco Bell."
Heists? Heist?
Heists. Yes.
Like bank robbing?
Yes.
Heist?
Heist.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay.
So that title is misleading.
Oh.
I'll say this up front. That's why I didn't want to say it up front, because then you're going to be like, where's the heist? There's no heist. There's no, like, when you think of a heist, you think of like people sitting in a room and planning, and then they're like, all right, we got a getaway driver here, and then we're going to break in at this point. We're going to be like Mission Impossible, dun, 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 right? There's masks that people are wearing. There's like fake delivery guys. I've seen way too many movies, but.
One of them's dressed as Shrek with a bell on his head.
Shrek with a bell is coming in to distract the Taco Bell employees so that everybody else can just steal all the paintings off the wall.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. It's so basically what happened is back in 2015, according to an NBC affiliate in Westlake, Ohio, someone made off with one of the canvases sometime between 11 p.m. on a Saturday and 2 a.m. on Sunday. Most likely a drunk college kid.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I would do that sober.
100%. And the police captain, Guy Turner, says, "We're going to search every dorm room and rumpus room in a 10-mile radius and round up the usual suspects."
What? Oh, get a life.
So a couple of other people wrote about like that initial article. So it seems like it's kind of meant to be this like cheeky thing that people are like, oh, there was like a heist of Taco Bell artwork. But it's not like this like Thomas Crown affair, or like that would be fun and like a cool movie. It's just sort of like a drunk kid stole a painting once.
Like, this would be cool. Let me put it on my wall. Okay, so it was just one time?
So technically, as far as like a heist is concerned, it's that one time. But as you mentioned earlier, you know, these corporations every, I don't know, but I feel like it's 10 or 15 years maybe, they'll do these big rebrands where they'll just totally, you know, first they'll do a rebrand of the logo, and then it'll slowly trickle down and go into the actual restaurants, and then they'll change the color scheme and all that stuff. So over the course of the, I don't know, past 10 years or so, probably a little bit longer, a lot of these stores have been remodeled. And when they come in and remodel them, they're like, oh, whatever, cool. We're just going to tear down this wall and then throw all this crap out. So a lot of people who worked at the Taco Bells were like, this is awesome. Like, this painting is really important, and like it matters.
It matters to me.
To me. So a lot of them were just taking them and just keeping them at home because they're like, oh, this was a cool, awesome painting I had. Some of them took them and then they were like talking about them on Reddit and then throwing them up on like eBay or like Mercari and trying to sell them like Craigslist. And they're trying to make a profit off of it if they're able to. So just so you can see, where's the link? So many tabs open. Where did I have that one? Sorry,
you got to do something about
that. Where the hell is that one? Oh, no, I'm on the Safari one. That's why. So many tabs.
Let's leave this in so they can know exactly what we do when there's cuts.
So
just us digging around in our tabs.
So this one's bullshit, clearly, but somehow this is not the only one that goes for this much. So go ahead and click that one open. It's selling all three of them together.
Oh, my $30,000? What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
It says there's been 8 views in the last 24 hours. How many of those were you?
All of them.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So they pop up here and there. No one's buying them for $10,000. I don't know who's buying each painting for $10,000. You can find them on eBay. I've looked around. There's one or two I found. Some of them are like 300 or like 500. It's possible to get one. I don't know how realistic it is. I don't know if they're like bunk. But they exist. And they're still popping up here and there. You're not going to be able to get whoever's selling this for $10,000. First of all,
insane.
Did you not listen to this man's mission statement? This is about art for the people.
Yeah, he wanted everyone to access it, not just the super rich.
As
Although
Indiana
Taco
Jones
Bell
once said, this belongs in a museum.
Yes, and Taco Bell, it's for all classes, all social hierarchies. You could be in the Taco Bell drive-thru and you could see like a really nice car, and you could see like someone on a bike, and they're enjoying the same food.
Enjoying the same food. So really, the people who are selling this for $10,000, disgusting. It's anti Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I made a taco out of clay.
Oh, nice. I love it. That's actually excellent. I like it a lot.
Oh, thanks. I'll fire it and then color it and give it to you. No, I won't.
Oh, all right.
I'll try if I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my fidget clay, and I made a taco. So
I think this is a great new addition.
To see it. Watch the YouTube.
Then you can bid on it on eBay for $10,000 starting bid.
I will sell this to anybody for any price, honestly. Literally anything.
No, $10,000 is the minimum. So we can buy the other painting.
It kind of looks like it has a hot dog inside. Anyway, go on.
Hot dog taco. So Mark T. Smith, of course, he doesn't get any of these royalties, but don't worry about him. He did okay, and he continues to do okay. Yeah. Sorry to bore you. He's doing fine in his career.
I was trying to hide the yawn. Look.
What are you trying to hide? We're on a video podcast, and I can hear you and see you.
I just didn't want you to take the yawn personally.
You did a terrible job at hiding the yawn. You got to just put a blanket over your head when you yawn and then come back out.
I don't know why I'm yawning. This is like one of my favorite things you ever talked about. All right, I love this.
It's okay. I understand. You hate me and my tab and my abs.
You only have one ab?
I have a singular ab. That's the only one that I can.
Get it together. Get it together. Split them abs.
Split them abs. So his career, of course, continued. He did some crazy thing where he PT cruisers. They asked him to do a painting for Aquabell. I thought about that in the beginning.
Okay, PT
cruisers. He did he painted something for the Olympics in 2008. 2008 was when they were in China, I believe, right?
I don't know.
I think it was 2008. He did some crazy dragon painting that he did, but he's fine. Yeah. He's doing okay. They interviewed him about this, and he's basically just dude, I can't believe that people are so excited. That's awesome. That's great. He's totally just a mensch about it. He loves it. He's not they're taking my. He's not like Lars being they're stealing my property and Napster is taking money away from me and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I would understand if he felt that way, but.
I would understand, but it's. I mean, you sign if anything. So anyway, so this isn't really. So I'll end with this. So it's not really like a heist. Number one, also in terms of ownership, I'm assuming that they bought him outright. So technically he wouldn't even own them. Taco Bell would own them. But also if Taco Bell's throwing them all away, you're just dumpster diving is all you're doing. And there's no law against that as far as I can tell. Yeah. So it's not stolen. I think in the one case of that one time where that college kid took it out of the restaurant is one thing that has sort of been memed about now. But
yeah, but you know what we could do?
What's that?
We could make it a heist.
We could, if we could find a museum that had them, and then we could break in and do it.
True.
I actually thought it would be fun if we ever had an office, if this podcast ever becomes anything, is that we should figure out a way to buy these and then have that be the first piece of real art that we buy for the office.
100%. If anybody works at Taco Bell or somehow has one of these, I don't know. We could do a trade.
Let us know. Reach out to us. We can give you a clay taco that Hannah made during this.
Look at it.
Fair trade taco trade.
Look.
A taco for a taco.
Taco for a taco. Taco for a Shrek.
Also, I'll say this because we're in the modern era. It's interesting that he's inspired by, a very famous 80s black painter. Basquiat, in the New York scene, Basquiat, and then also he doesn't say Keith Haring, but I see Keith Haring in this as well.
100%, yeah.
So very famous queer painter back in the day, and it's interesting that it got. And I don't know what to make of this, but I just think it's interesting that a very famous style of black and queer goes through the corporate machine and then comes out in Mexican food,
right?
20 years later, it's so strange.
And it's that's the thing. Basquiat was queer too, and so it was
oh, that's right.
Rooted in that whole scene. And now it's Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But, it got kind of funneled into through a white, is a white capitalist lens. And now we eat tacos and look at it. I don't know how to feel about that.
Kind of weird. Yeah. Kind of insane.
Yeah.
It's conflicting, but
And
gotta give shout out to where shout out, right?
And Basquiat both, died way before their time.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to them, I guess.
Shout out to those guys. Yeah. So look up Basquiat specifically if you guys don't know about him.
He's awesome.
I always forget that we're old, and so I was like, of course people know Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I'm like, oh yeah, people under 30 probably have never heard of him.
No, they should. That's the thing. He's like legend, artist legend. If you're in art school or any creative. Me?
Yeah, like in person, I mean.
Oh, no, I've never seen it in person. Have you?
He had a show at, what was it? The Mocha downtown in LA.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of those shows where I was like, I remember in school just kind of be like, yeah, it's kind of cool, like whatever. And then it's one of those where you see it in person. Yeah. Or when you see the scale of it and you see like the sort of, there's a couple of these guys, especially the ones that tend to be more abstract. Yeah. Where it's not like a thing that you could just see printed in a book, but when you see it's textured, and when you see a certain style repeated like consistently in a palette, like when you're sort of engulfed in a certain style, it's really cool. It's like, oh shit, like it's really amazing when you see it in person. So if you can see, if you know any
person
nearby museum where you can see Jean-Michel Basquiat's work, it's really beautiful. And also,
I'll look it up.
Shout out to Mark T. Smith. He's keeping that style alive.
Love it.
He seems to have been really inspired by it, and as far as I can tell, he's not like not saying that either. He's not like I invented this style or anything like that.
He's giving credit where credit's due. Also, like when you're in an art scene, you all kind of not leech, but like you all kind of draw from each other without even realizing it. Like I've noticed that with like the webcomic era. Like I guess I should say my era of like
the scene that you're into.
Instagram. We all kind of like, okay, we all decided it's going to be 4 panels and we all decided it's going to be this and, or like a square. It's all dictated by each other and we all kind of bleed into each other in a good way.
Osmosis.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting that he was exactly. It's cool that he was in that scene in the 80s in New York specifically. It's like that's basically as close to it, short of having Jean-Michel Basquiat come and be like, I'm going to paint the Disney World thing now and do it. But anyway,
we used to be a proper country with beautiful art in our Taco Bells, and frankly, I'm ashamed of us. Only for that, though. Otherwise, I'm really proud of us as a country. I'm just kidding.
Do I have anything else to show you? I think I showed you all the pieces. Anyway, go look it up. It's cool. That's basically my tab.
Loved that. That is
good.
I loved that. Thank you. I want to go get Taco Bell after this to celebrate.
By the way, I never wear white T-shirts, and this is how goofy I look right now. Is that
what does it say?
Seasoned
Why are you
beef
like
tomatoes? Because I'm trying to like stretch it out.
It just looked like I just like how your whole head just like receded into your shoulders.
This is not my T-shirt.
Whose is it?
It's my wife's.
Oh, it's Sarah's. Oh my gosh.
Which is why it's too small for me. But I thought it was like you can see the tacos on it.
Oh, it's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I've never seen you wear white before. Nice. You look like that meme of Adam Driver without a shirt on where he's standing there in like Star Wars and it's like super stretched out.
Yes, this is definitely not my size, but that's my commitment to the bit and my commitment to this show is that I will wear my wife's clothing on air so that...
This is the second time you've done it.
I've done it more than 2 times.
Oh,
of my wife's clothing, you're saying, or of theme stuff? What was the other thing I wore? No. I'm saying that jacket that I wore was one that she made me. I'm wearing literally her T-shirt that she purchased.
Oh, I remember the times when Sean was like, "You can't wear my clothes anymore," and I was like, he's like, "They're stretched out right around where the boobs are." I'm like, "Great, cool."
That's what happened.
Anyway,
that's my tab.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was really excited to talk to you about Taco Bell and go do a deep dive.
I'm literally going to go put a chalupa down my gullet after this.
You know, I had this... Gullet's a good word. It's like a bird. Yeah. It's like, like you could be like Sweet D who's just eating like a bird.
I'm going to go gargle that chalupa. Speaking
if anybody knows Mark T. Smith, please let him know that we salute
him.
Hello, friends. Would you like to help Hannah and I? All you have to do is go to nebula.tv/500opentabs and sign up for Nebula, where they have exclusives like David Lean Queer Subtext by Maggie Mayfish. In this video, Maggie explores the work of David Lean, who wasn't gay himself, but wove queer themes throughout his filmography. From his early work with the gay writer Noel Coward on Brief Encounter, to the homoerotic subtext of Lawrence of Arabia, Lean's films offer rich subtext and sometimes explored some progressive ideas that were unexpected for the time. I myself am a huge fan of Lean's work, particularly Lawrence of Arabia, which I consider what you kids today would call one of the GOATs, despite it being a film filled with camels. Unless camel is a cool young person acronym that I am unaware of. Cool, absolutely, miraculously, extremely legit? I don't know. I guess it's time for me to sign up for my AARP card. You can find this video and dozens of other high production originals on Nebula, a video streaming platform built by and for creators. And of course, I'm contractually obligated to tell you that subscribers get a special feed to listen to this show ad-free. Go to nebula.tv/500opentabs and get 40% off an annual subscription. By signing up, you can support other creators like Lindsay Ellis, Princess Weeks, and many more. Remember, sign up at nebula.tv/500opentabs and help us become the camels of the podcast world.
Speaking of heists.
Oh!
I have an actual heist story for you.
Oh.
Yeah. When you said heist, I was like, oh.
Synchronicity. I love it.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to do this one or not because it's a little bit off. Like, it's jumping off of my tab last week about the guy who stole all the crown jewels.
Right.
Yeah,
what was his name? Bill Blood?
Tom
Blood. Tom Blood. He's the new Sam Worrell.
Tom way better.
Blood.
Tommy Blood.
No, don't diss Sam Worrell. Come on. It's not better.
Can I tell you something? Here's something
Yes.
about Sam Worrell. I was desperate to find out what he looked like because I'm insane. And so I searched, again, censuses and records and wills. I found his will that he left to his son. I found his address. I found his birth. Anyway, so he existed, but I couldn't find a picture. Anyway, that's my story. Sam Worrell was real. And, if there's an afterlife, he probably was like, wait, what? Who's looking at my
Why
stuff?
are they talking about me on this podcast
Me?
so much?
Why do they love me so much? I was horrible. Anyway,
Tom Blood.
So while I was walking, so if you don't know, I was in London a while ago. For everybody who didn't listen to the last episode,
Go listen to last week's episode. Hannah goes into this entire story.
And I was
It's
walking
unhinged.
around.
It's great.
It is insane. I yelled a lot last week.
I was laughing so hard. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
I yelled through the whole thing.
You always apologize to me. You're like, sorry. And I'm like, why would I do this show if I didn't want you to? No, I'm not right now. Later. After the show, you're like, sorry. I was like a little bit. And I'm like, no, this is what the people demand. This is what they want.
I dropped my T's and I apologize. It's my culture. You're taking that away from me.
Blood.
I was raised to be sorry.
Me too, frankly. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I derailed you. Continue.
It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Nothing matters. Only Taco Bell does.
I want Taco Bell. I'm so hungry. I'm so sweaty. I want Taco Bell.
You have a
so
taco
bad.
right in front of you. Just eat it. Ladies and gentlemen, she is biting. Oh, she bit into it.
I did bite it.
She ate the clay.
The 6th grade Hannah in me that's like, do it. Make him laugh. Made me do that.
Impressive.
Great. I'm going to die young from something like that. Okay, so we'll see how much I yell. But so to recap, I was walking around Westminster Abbey area in London because I wanted to find a plague pit. And I found the burial of a guy named Thomas Blood who in the 1600s stole the crown jewels in a different heist. And
it's a great story.
I got reading about Westminster and other thefts because they were like, yeah, he was the first person to steal the crown jewels successfully, except for this other guy. And they referenced some other thing. And I was like, well, who's this guy? And I found myself on a page about London's oldest door.
Riveting.
No. Okay, so I see a marker. I open Atlas Obscura, right? Because I'm in the area. And I'm like, what other weird stuff is around here? And I see a marker on the map that says London or England's oldest door. And I was like, oh my, you had me at oldest, which is I love knowing all the oldest of everything. Shout out to Jonathan the Tortoise. He's the oldest of his kind. And this is the oldest living door. The oldest living door in England. And does it have a sternum and ribs that are made of steel? No, but it has skin on it. And that's true. So I'm reading about this door, and it's like, yeah, people say that the legend is that they took the skin from a convicted burglar and nailed it to the door because that's what they used to do.
Like this is what'll happen to you if you rob us.
Like
of a person's house.
You. Yeah, no. Like so Westminster Abbey put this skin on the door.
Oh, on the door. I'm sorry, you said that. That's right.
Yeah, so they found like skin on this door, and there was all this like for years and years. They're like, oh, it's the skin of this robber, and
they're like, Buffalo Bill lives in this Westminster Abbey. He's all
except he's British and like a monk.
Would you rob me? Or rob me? Or rob me hard? Is she a great big old plump person? I'm like, what would that sound like if he's British?
All right, so I'm looking at this door, and I gotta go see the door. Anyway, it's closed.
Buffalo Bill door, right.
I wanted the door.
The door is closed. That's good. You didn't want to leave it open.
Westminster Abbey's closed, hence I can't see the door. The door is from... Leave me alone.
This is like a Who's on First bit right now.
What's that?
Who's on First? You don't know this bit?
I don't know anything.
Oh my God. It's going to take too long. I'll explain
Another
later.
Time. Okay.
Yes.
So I can't get into the Abbey because it's closed, because it's evening. And so I have to
Because the door that you're trying to see is closed, right?
It's closed, yeah. And so I was like, whose skin is this? I have to find out whose skin this is. Because, come on. Give me that skin, you know? And I find out that, sadly, they tested the skin, and it is cowhide.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we used to be a proper country. They don't even skin humans to put on doors anymore. It's as much of cow substitutes.
England has lost its culture. They're putting cows on doors. Whatever happened?
Woke.
Because woke. Because they can't skin a human because God will be mad. You can't put human skin on a church anymore. Like, what? You good?
Yeah, this is great.
Okay,
just
so
doors with skin on them and British Buffalo Bill, and then the Who's on First gets too many jokes at once. My head's gonna explode. I love it. I love it so much. Continue, please.
I refuse to believe this is cow skin, and so I was like, whose skin is it? And so it is the skin. It is said to be the skin of a man called Richard Pudlicott. Dick Pudlicott.
Dick Pudlicott.
All right? His friends called him Dick. His name's Dick Pudlicott. And
Pudlicott.
Legend has it that they skinned this dude because of what he did. So it was a cow.
Pudlicott.
And it's from...
Okay, real quick. What is the name? Okay, you're saying... Were you about to explain?
I'll tell
Sorry.
you.
The name Pudlicott.
So, Pudlicott. Back in the day, there weren't like last names really until they started writing it down. And so Richard was from a town called Pudlicott in Oxfordshire. And so he was called Richard of Pudlicott, Dick of Pudlicott.
Still doesn't explain the name Pudlicott.
Oh, it's probably... Cot means like... I could go into this. It's an Anglo-Saxon name that probably describes what the area looked like.
Like a cot.
Like a coat.
And there was a lot of puddles around it?
C-O-T-E probably means like an enclosure or like a
coast?
I remember my Anglo-Saxon naming.
The linguistics tab on the Discord is truly upset with you right now for not knowing all of the answers immediately.
Dick Pudlicott walked so that Thomas Blood could run.
Okay.
This dude... There's a lot of words I just said, but they make sense. So we're going to take Dick Pudlicott and put him over here for a minute. All right? Because we need to get into some, like, history.
Okay.
I'm going to try to make this easy. Contain yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what the time... I got to paint the scene so that we know how Dick Pudlicott fits in, slides in.
Paint it like Maxfield Parrish. Let's do it.
Paint it like this other guy. All right? What was his name?
Mark T. Smith.
Mark Smith.
Mark Smith for people in the mountains.
Mark Taco Bell Smith. That is his name. We are in 1303. That's how old this is. We're in the 1300s. The king in England is called Edward I, or Edward Longshanks, because he was so tall. And everyone was like, whoa, he should be a king. He was 6'2". So at the time, that was like, oh, God must have made him this way because he's supposed to be king. No one was that tall.
Is Longshanks the one that's in Braveheart? That's like
Yep.
that where William Wallace tries to murder.
I was just about to bring up Braveheart. Yeah. So Edward Longshanks / the Hammer of the Scots is what he became known as.
Yeah, that dude sucked.
He sucked big time, dude. This guy,
Longshanks sucks.
This guy. He was also the one who defeated and drove out the last official Prince of Wales, who had united Wales as a country, Llewellyn the Last. And he drove him out, and then he started putting up all these castles in Wales to keep the Welsh, under control.
In submission,
and these castles, you can still go to them. They're everywhere. Wales has more castles per square mile than anywhere in the world, and a bunch of them were built by Edward, because he was like, no more rising up. I'm busy also fighting the Scottish and the French, so you guys just need to chill. Anyway, it kind of broke the Welsh's spirit for a while. I can go to that later. The Welsh hated him. The Scottish hated him.
Very much so.
So this is around in the late 1200s. He was like, the Scottish will not stop harassing us because they want their quote unquote land or whatever.
Independence. Oh, you guys want to exist without me murdering and what's the thing? Prima nocturna. What's the term? I forget.
I don't know.
Prima nocturna, where the soldiers would come in and have sex with the wives on the first night of the marriage. Shit, I'm drawing a blank on the term.
I think it's something like that.
Something I forget totally the name of everything I know about this is from Braveheart, so I don't know if any of this is real.
A lot of it is, but Braveheart, the William Wallace side of it is they didn't dress like that at all.
I do remember hearing this though, that they didn't actually wear kilts at that time or anything.
They had no kilt. Well, they didn't have any of the paint or anything. Anyway, at this time, Edward was like, I need to fight the Scots, and so he takes his whole government out of London and moves it to York so he could be closer to the border. And he's up there trying to quell them. And this dude...
It's kind of funny when you say he could be closer to the border. He's just like, I just really wanted to be closer to you guys. I was tired of being so far away.
Your haggis. So he loved war. So this dude, Edward the Confessor, besides the Scottish story, he was known to be a warrior king. And he would fight in the Holy Land. He could not stop. He was always just like, who's next? Let's do this. And at the expense of the entire kingdom, because war costs money. So Edward is raising taxes. Peasants are pretty much slaves because they can't actually afford. All they can do is work to actually have a home, like a roof over their head. And this is still feudal England. So this is pre-plague when everything kind of got mixed up. Right. And this is still a very rigid social structure. So everyone had their place and there was no upward or downward movement. Well, there was downward, but there was no upward movement. So everyone is strapped for cash because Edward is like, you need to pay me taxes so I can keep killing these people. And it pissed everybody off. So he was up there at the border for years and he moved his whole government up there, which is not unusual. They would usually do that. If they were at war, they'd move, they'd bring their treasury, they'd bring all their clerks and all their assistants and
the whole squad,
family.
If you will.
Squad. He brings the whole squad up to York.
In a caravan.
In one caravan.
Yeah.
Just kidding. He carries them. Anyway, so this tall jerk is up there fighting and he leaves London kind of scarce.
He's all
there's
BRB.
Nobody really. No, seriously, he's like, okay, we'll have a skeleton government down there and they'll do their kind. They'll keep it running.
I'll take care of it. Just put Bob in charge. Yeah, Tom will take care of it.
He pretty much was like, yeah, Westminster, just figure it out. I'm going to be up here. And so at the time, London was kind of insane because they were like, King's gone. We're going to do whatever we want.
Party! Woo!
And yeah, seriously. So it's time for you to set the scene, okay?
Okay, I love it.
You are a monk.
Clearly.
Working in Westminster Abbey, living and working. Do you want to pick a name or can I pick one for you?
I just was going to say, speaking of putting dick to the side, I'm going to be a monk in the Abbey now at this point.
Yep.
What's my name going to be? I don't know. What's
one. I don't know.
Reginald?
Francis? Oh, yeah. Father Reginald.
Father Reginald.
You're Daddy Reginald.
Daddy Reg.
The monk.
Daddy Reg.
You're doing monk things all day, which means chanting and hating
really,
yourself and not having sex and, the hating yourself. I mean, you should. We're pretty good at that. Hating. Yeah. I could be a monk. I hate myself.
We're very monastic in our dedication to self-hatred.
Yeah. So they're just hanging out. They chant and they do all a bunch of Catholic stuff. I don't know. They hang out at Westminster Abbey and It's right. This place is like used to be. Now it's central London, but at the time it was like weird, like kind of like a weird suburb, like where you still had to go down a road with nothing around you to get to Westminster. So
it's a little bit
nowadays
more
you're just like, here it is. Here's Parliament.
You're like, oh shit, yeah.
But this was like its own little like hamlet, and it was where all of the business was run. So Westminster Palace took care of all the like authority stuff in the kingdom, and this little skeleton government was there. So you're a monk, right? And you're just chilling and chanting or whatever. And you think the king is gone, and there's a lot of pubs around here.
Oh.
And so you and all your monk friends start to just get drunk every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Day drinking, partying. Who cares about chanting? Now you're just like smashed in the street, just, you know, laying in a graveyard, waking up in a graveyard, don't know what happened the night before.
Wine 'em, dine 'em, 69 'em. That's what all monks used to say.
That's that. You know what? I've seen that. It's actually written in Westminster Abbey.
That's actually what they used to chant specifically.
Wine them.
Wine them, dine them, 69 them.
Dine them. Then and then they just drink. So these monks were drunk all the time. No one was watching them, so they were like, well, yeah, cool, brothels, let's get drunk. And there was also a bunch of people that were called clerks. So clerks were like people who could read and write.
I've seen the Kevin Smith movie. I'm well aware.
I don't know what that is.
Just keep going.
Push right through that. So clerks would they could read and write, and they were like middle class-ish. So they were educated and they could do math. And so the palace was like, we're going to hire you to take care of all of our affairs.
Yeah.
And this is where Dick Pudleycott comes back in, because he is working at Westminster Palace and Abbey as a clerk.
Okay.
And he's doing like writing stuff and taking notes or whatever they do. They're pretty much a secretary, like a medieval secretary.
They're like, oh, look busy. And he's just like, you know, opening up the same document over and over again.
Over and over. Writing the same old English like text over and over. Yeah. Dick was restless. He you know, luckily he wasn't born a peasant. So he was born into the yeoman class, which was that he could kind of go find jobs, figure out a craft, actually have some upward mobility. And he was like, I'm sick of being a clerk. I do love getting drunk with monks all day, but like I kind of need to make money. And side note, I used to follow this account on Twitter about clerks because
about it was clerks from this era.
Yes, yeah, because all the crime reports from then were just about clerks, because clerks were insane. They would go.
Were clerks the ones that were writing the crime reports too?
Probably. No, they were just doing like official state business. Turns out
there was nothing bad happening with clerks, but it was just one clerk was mad at another one, and he was just like, Billy Bob the monk was doing this. I'm gonna get that bitch back, and then write about him as a clerk.
Billy Bob didn't invite me to the pub, and now I'm gonna write about how he defaced
the greatest criminal. Yeah, exactly.
But these clerks would get like hammered and just be like, well, let's go ruin stuff. And so there's all these crime reports about these young clerks just wrecking London, or like throwing someone in the water, or like you know,
stealing Taco Bell paintings.
Stealing Taco Bell paintings, you know? That's who did it.
Exactly.
So Dick was having fun.
Yeah.
But Dick wanted more money. And I gotta just say Richard. I have to say Richard.
No,
I'm
just
sorry.
keep, we're
lost
making it
the
through.
Privilege.
No. Oh, I've lost my dick privilege.
Just like the monks.
Oh, I'm really getting into this.
So he decides to go out on his own and try to make some money. And so he decides that it's a good idea to sell cheese as a traveling cheese salesman.
Listen, every single person that you would ask, you'd be like, wouldn't you like, what if you're on the road, you're chilling, you're caught in traffic, someone shows up with cheese. You can tell me you're not going to buy cheese from a guy that just hangs. It's genius idea.
Well, he did it. He would buy cheese and butter from like farmers and be
I don't know about butter. I don't really want that in my car, but cheese I can roll with.
Yeah, he would try to sell butter and cheese and like door to door.
I just heard Dick's traveling cheese puddlecock. What was it?
Puddlecot.
Puddlecot. Puddlecot Dick's traveling cheese.
Dick's traveling cheese and butter.
Traveling cheese.
So he would bring his cheese wheels around and try to sell them in different cities. And it wasn't really working because, remember, nobody really had money. Everyone was like taxed out of their minds. hating
Also
everything.
getting murdered probably by like
Probably
something
like
that
highwaymen or
Longshanks
something.
did. Yeah.
Or by clerks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clerks did murder people. Anyway, so this didn't really pan out for Dick because he was like, yeah, cheese business isn't booming right now. And
Should have called
so
Billy Bob. He would have known.
Right. But he was drunk in the pub after chanting. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Billy Bob from the first episode.
Yeah.
Man.
He's a cheesemonger. He literally was a cheese distributor. He could have called his friend in New York and he would have sent him low moisture mozzarella. Actually, no, that was at Grande. But yes, I digress. I've distracted you and derailed you.
He should have done this. Dick. I can't say it. So Dick's like, well, what is booming right now? And he thinks
murder.
The one that too, skinning people. So he's like, I'm gonna skin everybody.
That's right. I totally forgot this is all about human flesh.
This dude's skin might be on a door. All right, so I'm telling you how Dick went from a humble cheese salesman to being nailed to a wooden door. All right.
Okay.
So he's like, I know what's booming. It's the wool business because at the time England was like the biggest exporter of wool in Europe, because they had all that land for sheep. And
makes sense, yeah.
So Dick's like, I'm going to get into the wool business. So he buys some sheep. He starts to...
Easy.
Yeah, he actually was really good at it.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, so the place to go... So England and Flanders, which is modern-day Belgium, had like this relationship where they would sell and buy sheep and wool, and it was like they both needed each other. So that was like a really good... Yeah. And so he's like, I got to go to Flanders and do some wool stuff there. I don't know what it is. Pet sheep.
Very wool.
Comb them or... Have you ever touched a sheep in real life?
I probably have. I don't remember off the top of my head. I haven't seen a sheep in quite some time, but I feel like I have touched a sheep.
They're greasy.
Then maybe I have not.
They're greasy and they have rectangle eyes, and I do
like the rectangle eyes.
You like that?
It's crazy looking because it's like rectangle eyes inside of rounded rectangle. Yeah. I did have this fixation where I was drawing a lot of weird sheep faces because they're really interesting. Like the shapes are really interesting. Like the eyeballs are interesting, and then the way that the kind of curly mane around its face is really interesting, and like the long snout. Anyway, whatever. That's
I get why they're like signs of the devil though, because you look at them and you're like
100%.
I don't know about you. You got soft fur or whatever it is, but anyway. So he heads to Flanders. And he starts selling sheep and wool and hides at a pretty good rate. He was making enough money to survive. Remember, Edward is still just like murdering Scotsmen.
Murdering everybody,
and he's so broke. He has started taking out loans from other countries' banks. Because people in England are like, no, we don't have any more money. You've taken it all. And so Flanders... was one of those Ned Flanders was one of those
Ned
banks.
Flanders. Hi ho, neighborino. You want to?
You want some money?
You want a high rate APR?
Industry?
Yeah, 7%.
You better pay it back, or we're gonna skin you. Yeah. Skindly windly. I don't know.
Skindly windly.
So Flanders is like, bro, you have to pay us back. We gave you a bunch of money. Just picture Ned Flanders in like a medieval outfit
with a giant dong, of course. That's canon. I didn't make that up.
Does he really? Oh, you're right. Anyway, so Edward is like, need more money. And Flanders is like, we're not giving you more money. We need you to pay us back. And so he didn't pay them back. And so Flanders, the government is like, fine, we're going to take all the merchants that live here from England and we're going to take away all their product and we're going to keep them here as collateral until you pay us back.
Hostage situation, essentially.
So Dick gets arrested by Flanders, like the government, and he gets all of his wool taken away, and he is livid because Edward doesn't care.
Of course not. Like, why would he?
Yeah, whatever. Some merchants,
like,
who cares?
Yeah, he's like, I don't give a shit about a bunch of sheep farmers.
They can rot in a Belgian prison for all I care. I need to kill this Scotsman.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson. I need to kill Mel Gibson. And so Richard is in... Not Richard. My gosh. Yeah, Richard. Dick is in prison in Belgium, and he's just like livid because he gave up the clerk job. He gave up the cheese job. He just wants to make money, and he's finally had some wool. But at that point, Edward had taxed the wool industry to like insane. Like that was untouchable. They were like, don't tax the wool industry. That's like our main export. He had started doing that, and so wool became outrageously expensive. So that was happening around the same time.
That's like inflation and all that stuff starts happening. That's usually when people get overthrown. It's always like whatever the chief export. Yeah. It's like wheat, I think. Wheat was the one that happened recently. So this ends up laying
the groundwork. The way that Edward raises the taxes and stuff on the wool trade, it lays the groundwork for the peasants' revolt about 50 years later.
That makes
Understandable.
sense.
Because between this and the peasants' revolt, the Black Plague happens. It completely flattens the social hierarchy.
Yeah.
And suddenly the king's like, but you got to keep paying me. Where'd all the peasants go?
They're
and
like,
everyone's
no, we don't.
No, we don't. You better be okay with a parliament. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So that's a whole different tab. Dick is like, I don't really know how he gets out of prison, but he somehow gets out of prison. So I don't know if he talks his way out or bribes his way out. But either way, he manages to make it back to England at some point. And he's broke. He's pissed. He's got nothing left. And he's back in London just like, okay, I guess I'll go back to the place I know, which is Westminster, where all my monk and clerk friends are hanging out and getting drunk. And it's still just a den of iniquity. Everyone's just having so much fun. He's kind of like moping around one day, walking through the cemetery.
He's just like you.
I think
moping
it was really
around
hard.
in the cemetery.
Not. You're right. I have had a lot of run-ins with cemeteries.
I don't know if I'd call them run-ins. I'd call them you seeking them out.
I got locked in one. Oh yeah, I did seek that one out, and then they shut the gates, and I was locked in there for 3 hours. Hopped the fence, almost ripped a hole in my pants. Okay, so I wrote that Dick was left up a creek that I never finished the sentence. So Dickie was back in London, completely broke and broken-spirited. So you can only imagine how like ferociously angry he was at the king. So he's walking around Westminster being mopey, and he kind of glances over and he sees a ladder that's up against a window. And he's like, that's weird. I used to work in here. Those windows are usually like shut and locked. But of course the king's gone, so nobody cares. And everyone's drunk. So
chaos.
no one's
and everyone's
keeping
drunk.
watch. And he's like, that's super unsafe because there's like treasure in there. He's like, well, okay, I have nothing to lose. So I'm just going to go check that out, see what's going on in there. And if they catch me, then I can just say, hey, you know me. I used to work here.
Yeah.
And so he climbs up this ladder, and he realizes that the window is just being held shut by a string. And he's like, you guys, I mean, look, this is asking for it, right? I need money. And so he opens it up.
They wanted me to rob them. It's like they set us up.
Well, he was so down on his luck that he was like, look, I know what's in here. There's a couple of silver pieces. There's some good stuff. And so he opens the window, and he's like, there's nobody in here. It was completely deserted. None of the monks were there. They were drunk somewhere. And he sees this silver platter. And he's like, ooh, why not? You know? No one's going to miss it. No one's going to miss it.
They're not even going to notice for like 6 months.
Yeah. And he's kind of seized by this like YOLO attitude of like, well, look, I don't have anything left. I'm going to take that platter. So he just straight up climbs in, takes the platter and some other silver, puts it under his arm, and then just climbs out and walks away in broad daylight.
I like that. Did he find out who the ladder, like the ladder was just there? Was somebody in there before him?
He doesn't know. He was just like, there's a ladder up against this. Anyway, he steals this, and he's like, that felt good. Because he was able... He's like, I like this.
That felt good.
That felt great. Dick felt great. So he... I'm sorry. Just kill me. So he fences it. He goes and fences it to somebody and sells it. And he gets money. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. And so he's going to the pubs, and he's drinking, and he's like, I could do this again. And he starts to kind of think, like, but where?
He got greedy.
He did. Because again, remember, he's angry at the king, and he thinks, the king took all of his treasures up to Scotland with him, so I couldn't steal his. Except he remembers that the king is an idiot and is scared of God to the point where he keeps a lot of his personal jewelry and treasures in Westminster Abbey. He remembers because he used to work there, and he's like, there's a whole crypt underneath that abbey filled with treasure, and it's the personal treasure. It's the personal treasure of King Edward. And Edward took all the stuff to pay for the war, but he left behind like swords and like relics, like religious relics, like gold crowns, pretty much the crown jewels. Everything was down there, and it was just guarded by drunk monks. And Dick was like, all right, okay. I think I have a plan.
Yeah.
And so he decided that he would steal whatever the king had left behind in his treasury. And he got away with it before, so why not? The king's not here. He realized he couldn't do it alone. He needed a crew. He needed a crew. And that's where I'm going to pick up next week.
No!
Sorry. My first two-parter.
You did what I did. I love it.
I know. So we'll
Nicely
pick up
done.
with thank you. So it's a big story, and I felt like it wasn't fair to cram it into one. So
I love it.
Next week we're gonna learn all about the heist of the crown jewels in 1303.
Yes. Very
by
good.
our buddy Dick. Anyway.
Buddy Dick trying to go in and steal the Declaration of Independence.
Mm-hmm. Or the Taco Bell that's kept in there.
They're going to go steal the Taco Bell paintings from the king's wardrobe and also his Trader Joe's tote bags filled with...
His Trader Joe's tote bags with money.
Clothes. Yeah, but money.
Anyway,
Nicely done.
So, yeah, that's part one. And,
Very good.
Thanks.
That's why you wanted to go second.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Two-parter.
I know. This is my first two-parter. I usually don't do them. It feels good. I kind of like that. I like this. Yeah. Now I can really, because I found his confession, and I really wanted to read the whole thing, and so now I have time to do that. So
nice.
Anyway,
I usually just end up doing a two-parter because I just I overdo it, and then I'm like, oh shit, I have to split it now. Not because I ever want to do a two-parter. 100%.
100% overdid it. Last night I was panicking, and Sean's like, just do a two-parter, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you're allowed.
All right.
You could do a three-parter.
No, maybe later. Are we going to close these tabs?
Yeah. All right. What are you thinking for sound effects?
Let's see. A bell, like getting crushed by a bell.
Oh yeah, clearly, yeah. A Taco Bell, living moss. Dong.
Like in
Shrek's
in Coco,
head.
The movie Coco. When the guy gets killed by
or like
bell.
a bell falling onto Shrek's head.
Oh yeah, what will Shrek say?
The sound of him hitting a taco against the bell as he's trying to eat. Right. Shrek was busy fighting King Edward Longshanks, which is why he was not able to help out. I do like the idea of Shrek being digitally incorporated into Braveheart now. But that's a story for another day.
That.
Yeah, I bet you someone's already done that.
A bell hitting
They may take our swamps, but they'll never take our freedom. Anyway, a Scottish bell. I love it.
I don't know what to do. I don't. Yeah, sure.
I think we should just ring the bell again. Alyssa, if you think of something better, just do it because we don't know.
We don't know. Just a bell dropping and smashing these tabs. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Boom. Oh, I gotta close this one too. Oh no, that's the notes.
I can't close all of mine because there's more for next
because you have another thing coming. I have a bunch I have to keep closing. I have multiple windows. Okay, now they're all gone. Screw you, tabs.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. That was great. I'm really excited for the next part. Speaking of next part, let's move on to listener emails.
Yeah. You go first.
I will go first. Our first email is from Lydia from the country of Texas.
Oh, yeah. It was a country at one point.
It was a country, yeah. Hi, Hannah and Kaveh. This is Lydia, listener and new Patreon subscriber. By the way, we have a new Patreon. Go ahead and subscribe, much like Lydia did. Thank you, Lydia.
Thanks,
Currently
Lydia.
in Texas, parentheses, unfortunately. I'm sorry that you don't want to be in Texas. Texas is a fine state. It's got some cool places, some nice people who are very polite.
Of guns, yeah.
They got guns. We got guns everywhere in America, though, unfortunately.
I don't know.
You're right. Anyway, Lydia goes on to say, I don't keep tabs open in my browsers, but I do have a moderate backlog of podcast episodes, which is why I just listened to the Racist Alien Time Capsules this morning, which is episode
10? 11?
Something. We should probably know what that is. I'm going to keep singing this song as we look up the numbers of the episodes.
I can look it up.
Yes, please do. So we got to cross-promote our own thing.
Hold on.
The Racist Alien Time Capsules is, episode 15. Okay, so that's episode 15. Hannah's slip of preparing bog bodies towards the end of the episode reminded me of the history of eating Egyptian mummies, which persisted into the early 1900s. Do you know about this?
Yes. This is...
All right.
This is gross. Speaking of English people doing insane things.
Funny enough, the history starts in ancient Persia, where the mineral bitumen, which is basically naturally occurring asphalt, was used medicinally.
Oh, guys used to eat asphalt?
Apparently, yeah, we still do. It's delicious. It's part of our culture.
I think that's just you.
Yeah. You got to take food where you can find it. Fun side note, The Greeks translated this into pitch, referring to the viscous, sticky nature of the mineral, and asphalt, and called it piss asphalt.
Amazing.
Through a number of misunderstandings, bitumen was used in the Egyptian mummification process, and mistranslation from the Persian word for the substance, mumia. 12th century medieval Europeans started using actual mummies as medicine.
Oh.
Mumia. Mummy ha اومدن مامیا رو بخورین. Eat the mummies.
Is that what you just said? Eat the mummies?
Yeah, kharijis. I'm just like, white people, eat the mummies. Kharijia, بیا مامیا رو بخورین. بفرمایین. تعارف نکنین. Okay.
Love it.
I say surprisingly, this actually fit into a larger practice of medical cannibalism that was already established in Europe and other cultures as well. The blood, hair, bones, etc. of executed prisoners, for example, was thought to cure all sorts of ailments. I assume our boy Dick Puddlecock was also part of this as he was getting skinned. Somebody probably ate him.
Skinned alive.
There's an quote-unquote internet fact myth that Egypt has run out of mummies due to Victorians eating so many as medicine. Yeah. This is based on the actual history of mummies as medicine combined with Victorian Egyptomania, where Egyptian history-obsessed Victorians did a lot of disgraceful things to mummies, such as turning them into paint and fertilizer, unwrapping parties, and the usual stealing artifacts for museums. However, Dr. Sarah Parkak, an Egyptologist and author, says in a Twitter thread, mummies are not rare because people ate them. A, mummies are found all the time. And B, mummies were used for paint. And then there's a whole long thread that I did not have personally time to read to prepare for this, but we will link to it and you can look through it. There's a bunch of stuff that looks like it's pretty official. Love learning all the random stuff and hearing you guys have so much fun on this podcast. Cheers, Lydia. Thank you, Lydia.
Thanks, Lydia. Yeah, the mummy, I knew that they made paint too. Like, there's a certain color of paint that you can't really get anymore because you can't, eat
mummies.
You can't grind up mummies anymore legally.
Because of woke?
Because of what? Can you believe that? They don't let us do anything anymore. Suddenly I have to have, respect for the dead and, sanctity for culture, whatever.
Dead bodies can't be ground up and used into medicine. Thanks a lot.
My beautiful paint and put in my mouth. Anyway, gross. So yeah, they would make these unwrapping parties. A bunch of dumb Victorians would be like, "Come over, and we're all gonna just unwrap this mummy together and see what's in there." Anyway,
a body.
It's you guys. It's a body. It always is. It's never not.
I love that this starts because people didn't take the time to translate Farsi, and then they end up eating mummies. This is my favorite. Idiots.
It's true. And then it's the Greeks, the ancient Greeks.
Ancient Greeks.
There.
Way to go, ancient Greeks. Let's all continue worshiping them and not the Persians, because they certainly didn't invent democracy.
Oh, no. That was the Romans. I'm just kidding.
We didn't do
the Romans stole everything.
Persians did nothing. Anyway, I'm going to get angry now. You should move on to the second email.
That grudge is 2,000 years old. And I love
it. Doesn't stop. It will not. I'm going to put this into my children, and they're going to also be angry about it.
Good. As they should.
We'll never let it go.
My email is from Nikki from Indiana. Hi, Anna and Kaveh. Loving having found a podcast that is just a manifestation of what hyperfixation feels like.
Glad to help.
I'm glad to find people whose brains work the same way as mine. For my tab, I wanted to share...
Which is to say, don't work.
They don't work, yeah.
Yeah, they don't work.
They get stuck on one little topic, and then they follow that topic until they can't. Until they're reading a manuscript from 900 AD. For my tab, I wanted to share one that I originally saw as a meme and thought it was just someone trolling. Then years later, I came across the Wikipedia page while doing a completely unrelated search. Apparently, back in the late 1700s, there was a racehorse named what looks like Potoo. It's Potoo. The story goes that the stable boy who wasn't literate heard someone say that his name was Potato and thought that it was pot with 8 O's. And so he wrote it down that way. That's really the only interesting thing about him. But I just enjoy that in some ways our humor never changes, even when we're centuries apart. Here's the tab's link, and it's wikipedia.org/Potoo.
Potoo!
Pot 8O. Thanks again Thanks again for all the laughs, and I hope this horse's name can bring a chuckle to you as well. Kind regards, Nikki.
That's like that's like a old-timey dad joke almost.
Yeah, 100%.
That's amazing. I love that.
Plus, you can't like name a horse the same name as another horse. So they were always like, I don't know, let's make up a new name. That's why they're always called like Jetpack Dishwasher, stuff like that. Oh, I'm putting all my money on Jetpack.
Jetpack's dishwasher. I was gonna say our friend Michelle, who submitted who we exchanged hands, and I got the Taco Bell tab.
Yeah.
When we were all playing Animal Crossing. Her handle for some reason was potato because she just loved potatoes, I guess.
They're good.
So we knew multiple Michelles in our friend group, so we was just like, whenever Sarah would be like, Michelle's coming, and I'm like, are you talking about potato? So shout out to Michelle
or other Michelle.
Yeah, exactly. Is it potato Michelle, or is it the other Michelle? Anyway,
like
so it all comes back.
I know so many Sarahs that it's at the point where Sean's like, which Sarah is this? And I use her screen name.
Yeah, you guys.
It's like, it's this one.
It's Jetpack Dishwasher Sarah. Anyway, thank you, Nikki, for your submission. If you guys have an email that you'd like us, you're just thinking about potato or dishwasher jetpacks now.
Jetpack dishwasher, and it being a horse.
Nikola Jokic would love it.
What a dumb horse.
No such thing. Anyway. Send us your emails to 500opentabs@gmail.com. That's 500opentabs. Give us a brief explanation about what your tab's about. Include the link and let us know where you're from. And as another option, if you're so inclined, you can also send us a little voice memo. Like keep it under a minute. Keep it under a minute. I'm just at the point of the end of the episode where my mouth no longer works. It's tough doing a podcast. Tougher than you'd think.
You'd think, yeah.
Yeah. Keep
tiring.
It under 1 minute, please.
Or just be like me and say minute.
Yeah, and minute.
That's another thing we do. We drop the T at the end of the word, minute. 500openabs
at gmail.com. Anyway, why don't you tell everybody where to find us?
Yeah, we're 500 Open Tabs on Instagram and Twitter and
Discord. And you need to find the Discord.
Yeah.
Follow us on the Discord.
To the Discord and Patreon, of course. And
we're also on YouTube, very importantly.
Oh, duh. If you want to watch us and watch me show the little clay thing and all the pictures, follow us on YouTube. It's really fun there. And Patreon. I said it at the top of the episode. I'll say it again.
I know. We got to say it again. Patreon. We got to just keep saying Patreon.
We are so grateful for those who have already become patrons because this is a lot of work, it turns out.
It's so much work.
It's so much work.
So much work.
And it's been really great to have some a little bit of support that way. So you can find me at Hannah Hillam on everything, and Kaveh?
You can find me at PermaFriends on Instagram. It's basically all that's basically the only place I am now. I do a little bit on Blue Sky, but that's just Covetarian. Additionally, we will be at San Diego Comic-Con. We are going to be in Artist Alley. At the time of this release, I think if we have to cut it, we'll cut it if we're not allowed to say it. But we do have a panel.
We do.
That is going to be on Saturday at 1 p.m., which is July 24th. So July 24th, I believe it's room 28DE. We are putting together an Avengers-style panel of the greatest people that we know who we haven't confirmed yet, so we don't even know who's going to be on it. But
we'll see.
We'll see. Just because we're announcing this, or we recorded this before it actually confirmed. But it's going to be about trying to build, what do we call it? We're calling it Escaping the Algorithm.
The algorithm, yeah.
We're going to discuss ways to build community outside of the big platforms because it seems to be a trend that everyone's thankfully following. We're all kind of sick of it. We're all looking for places to share interests and not have some other, algorithm dictate what we see and what we don't see.
Right.
And that's proven to be a little bit difficult. So we want to get everybody together in one space to have conversations about it, talk to other artists, talk to other authors and people and talk to them about some of the methods that they've had success in doing that. So if you're going to be in San Diego Comic-Con, please come to this panel Saturday, 1 p.m.
Yep. Room
28DE. It's called Escaping the Algorithm. Hannah and I are going to be hosting it. It's going to be a mess from our end, but the other people will be great.
Yep. We're going to pull it together like we do this every week.
Oh no.
Right. That's what I mean. A mess. I'm a mess until I start talking. I'm like, I guess I'm doing this story.
Yep.
Anyway,
we'll have more and more information about that as we come closer to the date. But yes.
Oh, our table is BB01. So
and
if you want to come to
BBO2.
our table.
Yeah.
Oh,
right in the corner.
Right next to the Tower of T-shirts. I have to say it like that every time.
Assuming it'll still be there this year. You never know. It's been there for the past 4 years, but
yeah, it's there.
Don't climb it again this year. That was a bad idea, like King Kong.
Look, I needed somewhere to cry where no one could see me. What?
Every Comic-Con. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. Till the next time, keep it Josie.
Keep it Josie.